days, how have you read into the market mood?
Well, we are seeing a bounce back from an oversold condition, which can see us retrace 50 to 60% of the losses we saw from late July to mid of August. So, which gives us numbers somewhere between 5850 or a little higher potentially, where we would again start looking for a top. So, but in the short term, we're still looking at some more upside, another 150 points on the Nifty.
Would it make sense then to take positions on the futures itself if there is that 100 points left to go on the upside?
Yeah, that's fair enough to use futures, but being a counter trend move, what we would say is also that you should have limited positions. You shouldn't be overexposed, because you will get unexpected reactions along the way on the downside. So you need to be prepared for those.
Got that. Sarvendra, thanks very much for the time. Rohit, let's talk about, some of these oil marketing companies. Yesterday, two of them reported numbers. That's IOC, BPCL. BPCL is the only one there that's actually reported a profit number. But in terms of trading setups, in terms of, sentiment on whether or not investment is viable here?
HPCL is one which I've looked at for a very long time, and the stock has fallen quite significantly. It's very oversold on a weekly time frame. Some picking there from a long-term perspective might actually sound good. But again, I'm not sure whether we've made the final bottom here. But definitely, some of these stocks are getting at points where they start looking interesting.
Okay. What about banks, particularly SBI, Rohit? Have you seen the setups there?
See, as far as banks are concerned, like you were saying some time back, you might get a bounce back from the lows seen yesterday, but they would just be a bounce. I think in the overall market, even in July, we saw that banks were the worst performers on the upside. I don't think that will change. You might see a little more spike up in the next few days in banks, but they would still remain the weakest performers for the weeks or months ahead. So one needs to really be careful on the banking stocks. Apart from looking for a 2, 3, 4% upside in a couple of days, I don't think there's much more than that.
All right. Let's bring in Avinash Gorakhshekar as well with his views. Avinash, while the
better compared to the other metal names.
Rohit, just one last word. In the near term, extremely near term, anything specifically that you're watching out for in terms of cues and, something that you will look forward for in terms of giving market direction?
No, I think our sense of market direction is that we are getting a short-term run-up, which would probably top out. So there's no particular event that we are looking at. There are some global cues. For example, you need to watch global bond yields. That is going to be the most important data point, I think, for the next couple of months. If you're trying to take a slightly longer view beyond a couple of days, rising yields would be the biggest concern. And it's not just a domestic event, it's more a global event that you're likely to see in terms of bond market behavior.
Got that.